Hey, it's Pastor Josh here. We're reading Mark chapter 3, verses 7 through 12. And this is kind of a summary section here. Jesus has just finished, or he didn't just finish, but he had those 5 confrontations with the religious leaders, and now he is going away. He is withdrawing himself. So we see that in verse 7. Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the sea. What often happens is after Jesus is in intense ministry, he then pulls back and goes to a deserted area. We saw that when everybody was coming to Peter's household to be healed, and then Jesus stayed up all night healing folks and then went off into a deserted place. This one right here happens right after he healed after he healed a man with a withered hand, after he had these 2 confrontations with the religious leaders about the Sabbath, or about fasting and then the Sabbath. He then withdraws himself to the sea. And a great crowd followed. So I think a good example to follow is this crowd was attracted to Jesus. They were following after Jesus. Now, in just a moment, we probably need to question why exactly they were following him. The crowds aren't necessarily always positive. The crowds are coming to Jesus not always for the right reason. But anybody that's following Jesus, it's a good thing. We got to make sure we're following him for the right thing, because he's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and he knows what's best, and he's our God. But we see people following. And where are they coming from? This is from Galilee. It's the region in the north, the Sea of Galilee, from Judea. Now, this is going to be toward the south, around Jerusalem, that area. Jerusalem, the capital city, and Idumea, which is actually a little south of Judea and Jerusalem, and from beyond the Jordan. And so the Jordan would have been, if you picture the Sea of Galilee in the north, there's the river Jordan that's running right down Israel, and so they're saying all the way to the east of the Jordan River. There's all these people coming, and from around Tyre and Sidon. These would be towns to the northwest. So if you kind of were tracking with me when I was saying where all these places are, he's basically saying they're just coming from everywhere following Jesus. There's these great large crowds that are following Jesus. When the great crowd heard all that he was doing, they came to him. So they're attracted. The things that he's doing, primarily the things that he's doing is healing, right? And casting out demons. And he told his disciples to have a boat ready for him because of the crowd, lest they crush him. And so right here's a good attitude to have, is that Jesus wasn't necessarily like, hey, there's a big crowd here. This is where I need to be spending my time. No, that's not how he operated. He operated by wisdom, of course, by his Father's direction. And so just because there was a crowd did not necessarily mean that was where he was supposed to be. So he's actually told his disciples to have a boat ready for him because the crowd was crushing him. And so right here, lest they crush him, I think if we think about this, think with me for a moment, as it being a sin to confess. The people are just so rabid, they're just so eager for Jesus to heal them that they're kind of pressing on him and pushing on him and crushing him so much, as everybody reaching out to him. And so I think we have to wonder, is this exactly, are they necessarily motivated because they think he is the Messiah, because they think he's God? Or is it that they just want some sort of benefit, some sort of healing to happen? So we got to make sure that we're following God not for his gifts, but we're following God because he's God, because he's wonderful. It doesn't matter what he could give us. We follow him because he is our master. So that's the picture. We have these great crowds following after Jesus, and even kind of coming on him so strongly that they're crushing him. And why did they crush him? For he had healed many, so that all who had diseases pressed around him to touch him. So he's healed so many people, so everybody's just like, yeah, we just got to get around him. We got to get in front of him so we can get healed. There's just this frenzy that's going on around Jesus. And I think this frenzy was what he was probably trying to avoid. That's why he was telling everybody, shh, don't tell everybody about who I am. It's just not really going to play out the way we really need it to. Verse 11, and whenever the unclean spirits saw him, they fell down before him and cried out. So if you remember, what I said is that we saw a lot of demon possession and exorcisms happening in the beginning of the book of Mark, and then there was almost a pause. We didn't see any mentions of it again while those 5 confrontations were happening between Jesus and the religious leaders. And now, what do you know? At the next summary statement, we have mentions about these unclean spirits, that when they saw him, they fell down before him and cried out, "You are the Son of God." They are wanting perhaps to confuse people. They are wanting to attribute who Jesus is, probably in a way to discredit him, because who would want a demon going around announcing that you are the Son of God? And he strictly ordered them not to make him known. And of course, that's a command for us to obey. Not that command, but the command that we're supposed to go and make disciples of all nations. We're supposed to be witnesses. That's the command we're supposed to be doing. So Jesus is telling the demons they need to be quiet. We, on the other hand, are told by Jesus to make his name known, to make his name great among the nations. I pray that has been a blessing to you all, and I will see you in the next video.